Hi, I'm Bill Blain, strategist with Shard Capital. This morning, let's talk about the Euro and Europe. Yesterday, we saw the announcement of a new 500 billion European recovery plan by Merkel and Macron. It's heralded as a great step forward that's going to save Europe. And one of the first reactions was an immediate tightening in European bond spreads. And I would certainly advise this is the time to be going in and buying Italy bonds again. They widened out and they're going to tighten back in. But once they've tightened back in, I would then step out again. Why? Because the new recovery fund is just another way that the European Union kicks the can down the road of trying to really restore proper growth in Europe. All it does is continue a process that's been going for the last 10 years, which has tried to make the very flawed construct of the euro work for European economies. It simply isn't working, and it's one of the main reasons that Europe so underperforms the rest of the world. Now, yesterday's plan is a political compromise. Firstly, it allows Germany to fly tip the whole idea of Corona bonds or Eurobonds, which are joint and several liabilities to fund European growth. In return, the Germans have had to play to Macron's statesmanship by agreeing that they will backstop lending, well, not in fact lending, but grants from the European Union to help out the areas of Europe that are most affected by the coronavirus. But what it doesn't do is allow nations themselves to decide what they want to do to get their economies moving again. And therein lies the crux of this problem. Why is Europe so underperforming? Why is it that nations like Spain, and particularly Italy, are now falling so far behind in terms of economic growth compared to Germany? Well, that's a result of the imbalances in the euro since its inceptions. German productivity is much higher, the propensity to save is higher, and also workers are still relatively underpaid compared to their peers elsewhere. The rest of Europe has to match German productivity in order for the euro to work. But the key issues with yesterday's recovery fund is that it's only a short-term solution. It's not going to change anything long-term, and as such, it's a political fudge. What it's going to result in is far more European projects that will proudly signpost themselves as funded by the European Union. Is it going to create any greater sense of European unity? Well, perhaps. Some people will be delighted to take visitors and show them the latest grandiose piece of infrastructure funded from Brussels. But what it continues to do is further devalue the role of nation states that are members of Europe in determining their own course. If you have to go to Europe to beg the European Union to give you bailout funds, it's going to take time. It's also essentially bureaucratic. Yet what we need to combat the coronavirus is instant and immediate support for the industries and regions that are suffering the most. Instead, Europe is taking an essentially bureaucratic solution to the problem. It also means that the role of the nations themselves in determining what the correct approach to addressing coronavirus should be in terms of regional support and industrial bailouts is still compromised. Yet again, what we've seen is another fudge, kicking the can down the road with no permanent solution. 500 billion sounds like a big number, but it's probably not near enough to bail out Europe. It is certainly a good reason to continue buying European bonds on the basis that another crisis is bound to follow and another solution will be found. But a long-term solution, that's still years away.